solve some questions. We will read the question and then we will go to JGrasp to implement it. This program is about retail item class. So write a class named retail item. So it's given to you the name of the class retail item. And whenever there is a question that asks or there is a problem about classes, you need to know what is the data inside and what methods that you need to write inside. So let us continue. That holds data about an item in a retail store. The class should have the following fields. Now, when we say fields, it means either data or methods. So what does it have? It has a field description, which is data. It is a string that holds a brief description of the item. Also, it holds units on hand. This is like a quantity. It is an integer variable that holds the number of items currently in inventory. And also it contains the price of the item, which is double, that will hold the price of the item. Write appropriate mutator methods. So here it says mutator. When it says mutator, it means set methods. So since it says you have to write set methods that store values in these fields, then you have to define the data private. And accessor, which is get methods that retain the values in these fields. And again, whenever the question or the problem asks for mutator or accessor, just define the data private. Once you have written the class, write a separate program that creates 3 retail items. So when we create the class, we need to create 3 objects and store the following data in them. And we need to put in the description for the first item designer jeans, the second item jacket, the third one is shirt, and we have their units on hand, which is a quantity, and their price. So let's go to JGrasp and implement this program. We are now in JGrasp, so we will create a new file. And we are going to define our retail item. So public retail item. The question already told us the name. It was remember that if you want to define a class, you have to put the first letter of the name in capital letter. And retail item, and we write inside the data that first it was a string description for the description, and don't forget it should be private because we need set and get methods for this data. And also we need integer units. Let's make it just call it quantity or units on hand, and also it should be private. Finally, we have a private double for the price. And here we will call it data members. I will save it into the file. So now it is saved. Now, next we need to define the data members. The question did not talk at all about constructors, did not say nothing about constructors. All what it says, it needs mutators, and accessors. So the data members, first we will define, not data members, sorry, methods. Methods of the class. First we will define the mutators. First, we will write the mutator for the description. So it will be public. And since we are going to use set, so it should be void. And the name will be set, capital letter D, description. And you need to supply the new description. I'm going to call it description. And inside, this is just a string. So we don't need to check for any specific value for description. All what we will say that this description is equal to the description that is coming from outside. So this description will be saved into the description that is inside the class. I will just copy Control C and I will paste Control V, and I'm going to change this one for the next, which will be, so see, I will just copy it from top, again Control C, and I will write it here, Control V, and I will change U into capital letter. And the input parameter should be integer, because, and I'm going to call it here units on hand, and it will save units on hand into, I have already saved it before, the name, so into units on hand. Similarly, we will copy and paste, and I will change the name into set price, and the price is double, so we are going to have the price as input parameter, the new price, and the new price will be saved now into this price, which is the price inside the class. So these are the methods, mutators, for the three variables. Now we need to write the accessors the syntax public. Now description is a string, and we will call it get description without any input parameter. And since this method is returning a value, so we will say return this dot description. And we will repeat this for the other methods. Copy, paste, and I will change this one into integer, and this will get units on hand, and it will return units on hand dot units on hand. And finally, for the third one, it will be double, and here we will say get a price, and what will return? It will return this price. Save it, and now we are done from the class. So we have defined the data, and we have defined the methods as well. Since again did not say anything about constructors, so we will not define constructors. We will just initialize them by using these methods. Before creating an object, let us check there are no errors. So we will run the program. So we are compiling the class. So we are happy that we don't have any errors. So let's go now to our main program and create objects from this class. So create a new class, and we will define public, and we will call it a class RetailItem test app. So this is like a class for testing which is an application to test the class. Okay. So we need inside public static void main string args, and now our program is prepared for creating the three retail items objects. So create three retail items or retail items objects. Since we don't have constructors, so we will create three. So the name of the class retail item, and I will call it item 1 equal a new retail item. Now, since we don't have a constructor, so the default constructor will be set by the system. For the next one, we will copy and paste, and for the third one also we will paste 3. So I will call the second one items 2, third is item 3. I will save now the program. So it is saved. Let us check there are no errors. So there are no errors. Now is the time to put the data inside the object. In our main program, we have already created 3 objects. Now we need to put this data into the object. So here I will just paste the data and I will put them in a comment. So here is our data. For the first item, we need to save in the description designer jeans, units on hand 40, and the price is 34.95. Remember that we cannot access them directly because the data inside are private, but we have methods, bodyguards that will help us to change the data inside. Since I want to change the data, so I need to set those data. So I need the method that will change the data, which is set. So we will say items set description, and between brackets I will put the description to the method as an input. Next, I have to say item 1. Okay. Next, we will say item 2 dot description. Again, we will use the facility for copy and paste. So we will copy the 3 of them. And I think it's better we go object by object. So item 1, we will set units on hand, and units on hand will be 40. And then we will go for set a price, which is 34.95. I will copy now these 3. And here I need to write a comment, set the data for the first object. Set the data for the second object. And the price will be 24.95. And by this we have saved data inside each object of the retail items. Now the question did not say that we print any of the data saved in any of the retail items, but I would like to show you how to use the get method. Here we will just say print the first retail item data. So we will use system.out.println. First we will print the description. And now if I want to access the data inside item 1, then we have to say item 1, and we call the bodyguard for reading, which is get description with input empty parameter. We will do the same for the other data type. And here we will print units on hand, and we will change here and say get units on hand. And for the third data member, which is the price, and it will be get price using the method get price. So let us check now. There are no errors. Compile. There are some errors. Cannot find symbol set units on hand. Maybe the spelling error. Okay, the error is that this should be capital letter units, and also here we should make it capital letter, and here because we copied it and we now compile it. Now we don't have any errors. Now run it to see the result, and see it says description shared units on hand 20 price, and for the message I think we should write here units on hand because this is a message. This is not a variable that we use inside the class. And by this we have finished solving question number 1.